Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. A very warm welcome to Silver Tent TV. I'm your host, Siobhan Reardon, along with my beloved dog, Elsa, who occasionally might join in. Today, I'm delighted to welcome with us Lucy Jordan to our show. Lucy is an extraordinary artist, an animal healer, a land communicator, and a very precious member of the Silver Tent. A very warm welcome to you, Lucy.
Thank you, Siobhan. It's lovely to be here.
So one of the things that we're looking at, the Silver Tent is a global community, online community for women over 50. And it's a part of a movement to say not only is life not over when you hit 50, but actually it's just the beginning. And the Silver Tent supports, nurtures, mentors, coaches women to pursue those dreams that are still yet to be realised, to pursue those visions that have yet to come into reality. So, and one of the things that we have been celebrating recently is the incredible array of artists that we have in the tent. And I really wanted to, Lucy's a very special artist, so I wanted to take a moment to hone in on you and to explore some of those wider questions around being an artist. So I'm going to ask very funny questions. So when did you realise you were an artist, Lucy? Is my opening
question. Well, I mean, we all draw as children, don't we? Whether we call ourselves artists or not. And I used to do a lot of drawing as a child. My mother used to encourage me a lot. And it was mostly the animals. We had lots of dogs and cats. And we lived in the countryside in North Yorkshire. So there was lots of opportunities to draw sheep and cows, and I think my mum encouraged me a lot. And I went to art college. First of all, I studied fashion design, and then cookery. But always there was this calling within me to be creative, and I actually then. After living on a boat for a while in London, I decided to go back to art college and study art properly. So I did a foundation course at Hastings, 1986, I think. And then I just before I started that course in Hastings, I did a short evening course on stained glass windows, and I just fell in love with the craft of glass making, stained glass window making, and the colours, the pure colours of glass. Anyway, I went to art college to do a foundation, and they didn't do stained glass, unfortunately, so I used to spend some time. They gave me a little corner of a corridor where I could continue my glass work, because they encouraged me, but they couldn't offer it as a course or part of the foundation course. And I continued to fall in love with glass making. I think I like the danger, the sharp edges, and because I love making things as well. So glass to me was a crossover between craft and art. After Hastings, I went on to Wrexham in North Wales and did 2 years in architectural stained glass, where I met my future husband and got pregnant.
So already I didn't, we've been friends for over a year now, and I didn't know that about you, that you'd originally trained in stained glass. And as you were talking then, I was thinking about, I'm with you, I adore stained glass. And there's that from the 1930s period, I can't remember what you call it, with the Victorian, the lights,
Tiffany,
that are made with I'm menopausal. I'm losing my words. I can't think of the word I'm looking for.
It's called
lampshades. The beautiful, yeah. And so I was struck about the power of light when light shines through that coloured glass.
Yeah.
how beautiful it is, and it creates such a wonderful energy in any room or any building.
Yeah, it's magical, isn't it? It's magical. And it to me, it was, and it still is, pure colour. It's light, it's coloured light, whereas painting is coloured pigment. So the light bounces off the pigment and then reaches our eyes and our brain, light. We'll go into colour theory, it's a bit complicated, but glass is pure coloured light hitting your eye from the sun straight to your eye, whereas this is the sun reflected off. And the properties of light is that all the colours except what you see are absorbed. So you only see the colour that's reflecting off the pigments. That's how we see colour.
You see, you even get a bit of science thrown in here on Silver Tent TV.
Yeah.
So it sounded like, when I asked, going back to that question, it sounded like it kind of began with your parents acknowledging, encouraging, and facilitating it, allowing it to come out naturally.
Yeah.
And that bent kind of towards the creative by going to art college, going to study fashion. It's still it's that joy of creating something, isn't it?
That's right. Yes.
So at what point did you decide, and we were talking earlier about that identity of an artist, and I was sharing with you one of my criteria is why I don't claim that identity of an artist, although I'm very creative and I spend a lot of my time being creative. I would never say I'm an artist. And somebody asked me recently, why? And I said, well, because nobody would buy my work. So there was that kind of sense of you can only claim that identity if it's a business. And my friend who was challenging me on it said, well, that makes me a whore. But there is something about that identity being an artist.
Yes, yes. And I think it's to do with our modern culture of the exchange of money being the criteria of whether you can call yourself a professional or not. I remember thinking that I couldn't call myself an artist unless I was earning a living at it. I went to art college, so I kind of had the official paper to say I'm an artist. But if I hadn't gone to art college, I can totally understand somebody feeling that they're not an artist unless they're selling their work. And I think that's a shame, because we're all creative. And for some of us it expresses as a visual art, and some of us as written or movement or music or numbers. It could be, or gardening. It could be 1,000, 7 billion different ways to call ourselves an artist. I just knocked my tea over.
Save the keyboard. Save the keyboard.
Yeah, onto the keyboard.
I bet that's something that many of us watching here today have done.
Yeah. Give it a bit dry.
So, I think that moves us into another part of our conversation, really, which is about the whole business of being an artist, because you've done it. You've succeeded in earning your income by being an artist, and we've got some beautiful examples of your landscapes behind you, and I find that middle blossom just stunning, and especially we were talking about light, the way you've captured light in it. So what was that transition like from being the student through to earning a living?
Wow. Well, I took a circuitous route. That's how you say it.
Yeah, you did a pretty good impression of it. No, you got me doing it now. Go on. You took a route that kind of went a bit circularly.
Yeah, because I left art college when I was 21, and immediately with my husband, new baby, started a stained glass business. And I found myself not able to work much because I had a young baby. And of course, we did it at the time when Britain was experiencing its first big recession, the early 90s. So people were kind of suddenly closing their purse strings, because stained glass is a luxury. It's a very expensive form of artwork. We decided to close the business and move to Wales and live on a small holding, you know, and do the whole kind of good life thing, which was wonderful. And then I had another baby, and my husband decided to get kind of normal work because we needed an income, and the artwork drifted away. I pretty much stopped making art.
Wow.
And as the children got older, I found moments when I could go back to it, and I got a few jobs as a stained glass commissions, and I started making bits and pieces. And then as the children got even older, kind of going off to primary school, I was lucky enough to have a shed in the garden, which I turned into a studio, and I started painting and making glass dishes, warm glass, where you assemble the pieces and then you put them in the kiln, and the heat kind of slumps it and melts it.
Yeah, I do that in my pottery. I know that one, yeah.
Right, and I absolutely loved doing that. It was just, I remember getting up in the morning and couldn't wait to get in the studio, you know. And I started to do quite well, selling them to galleries, and because they were very unusual. But then my husband decided that we were going to sell the house, take the kids out of school. He was going to give up his job, and we were going to buy a boat and live on it in the Mediterranean. And it sounded like a good idea at the time. So that's what we did. So from that point, and that was 2001, and I would have been 36, 37 by then, I packed away all my art stuff and didn't really do any until 2014.
So that's interesting. At what age were you then? I can't do the maths in my head.
Well, when I came back to my art?
2014, yeah. What age were you roughly then?
I would have been, I'm 53 now, just had my 53rd birthday, so...
You were late 40s?
Yeah, 48.
Yeah, 40. Yeah, so that's really interesting, because that fits in again with the whole philosophy behind the Silver Tent.
Right.
You know, that we can, begin again. We do have time to pursue those dreams.
Yes, and it became imperative. The years between getting on a boat and starting my art again, 2002 to 2014, were the hardest of my life. I really did go through the dark night of the soul. That's for another interview. And I ended up opening a business in Greece, making boat covers and mending sails, because I had to survive financially. And I could do that because I had my fashion design training, I had my kind of engineering mind from stained glass windows, and I just had this natural ability to make clothes for boats, as it were, biminis, spray hoods, that kind of thing, and understand the mechanics and the engineering skills needed to mend sails. And I opened a business in 2006. Then the Greek crisis happened in 2008.
Yeah.
And by 2010, I just thought, I don't know what am I doing with my life? I hate this. And I want to be an artist, and I remember dreaming about being an artist again, because it had always been with me ever since art college. I used to say to people, what a gift it would be to work doing something I love to do, which is creating, and be paid for it. I mean, that's not work, that's like playing. But
isn't it what we all dream of?
Yes, exactly.
How can I spend life doing the things that I'm passionate about?
Yes, and be paid for it.
Mm.
And that's why I don't agree with your friend who said she feels a whore to sell her work. I do understand that, because I did feel like that for a long time. And actually it was it was Linda McCartney, wife of
Paul
McCartney, who showed me that what we do, what we love to do, and therefore what we're good at has value, and has value. And unfortunately, our society is using money as a symbol of value. So there really is nothing to be ashamed of to ask to be given the exchange value for your passion.
And because we're running out of time now, so we'll have to do another one. We'll do a follow-up interview, I think, Lucy. But so you in 2014, the Greek crisis, you lived through that.
I closed my business in 2010. I hung on to my huge sewing machine. I mean, massive.
I can imagine making sales.
Yeah, I mean, it would cost 10,000 euros. So new. I hung on to that and all the equipment, and I did a bit of work here and there, but I finally decided. I got back into my art by doing online courses because I felt absolutely stuck. Where do you begin when you haven't done art for 12, 13 years? I felt absolutely stuck. So I got drawn to an online course by a lady called Connie Solera, and it was called Painting the Feminine. Actually. And I look back at some of that work I did then, and I think, like, oh my God, it's terrible. But I had to start somewhere, and I started there, and from there I ended up selling my sewing machine that summer and using all the money I got to buy paint.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, this is it. I'm doing this, and I'm showing my commitment by putting all my money, which I actually need for rent and bills, but I'm putting it all into paint and canvas and paper and art equipment. And I went for it, and I've been going for it since then. There was a lot of fear. I had to get through a lot of fear about creating art. Procrastination. I mean, cleaning the fridge was far more appealing than sitting down with a sketchbook and some paints. But, slowly I've got through that. I'd still have moments of fear, especially when I haven't made art for a few weeks. But I've learned strategies and tactics that will get me back making work again.
And most significantly, you're selling. You found a way of earning that income and receiving that recognition and that exchange of value. Yes,
it's slow going. I mean, I'm kind of have a lot of handicaps because I live on a small Greek island, so I don't have galleries nearby or art fairs or even good supplies. So I'm really up against it, but I'm determined to make it happen, because what else will I do? There's nothing else I want to do, really.
Oh, I'd love to keep talking with you, and we'll come back and we'll carry on this conversation. But it's been incredibly inspiring listening to your story.
Lovely.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm going to sign off. And wherever you are in the world, may the sun shine in your heart, even if it's not in your skies. And on behalf of Silver Tent TV and Elsa, Lucy Jordan, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.